What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. In this video, it's Friday morning, November 3rd, about 9 a.m. Central Time here. We're going to go over my start-sit charts for the weekend. We're going to be going through all the start-sit charts, and we'll pull up some practice reports and maybe look at some stats throughout the video as well. Thursday Night Football was fun last night, so that's at the bottom of the page if you guys want to review that. But either way, Sunday morning we have a Germany game, Frankfurt here. Exciting game to start the day. Dolphins technically at the Chiefs here. The Chiefs are favored to win by 2, about 51 total implied in this one. I think you want to, this one's pretty simple. We're starting our studs in this one here. So Mahomes, hopefully he has a bounce back game. Hopefully he's feeling better. You're playing Isaiah Pacheco. You're playing Travis Kelce. And you're playing Rashee Rice. I think if you have him, we know there's a couple teams on bye this weekend, and I think you want to try and get Rashee in there. It's a high-scoring game environment, and the Dolphins, they have been letting up wide receiver points, so it's not a bad spot there for that. Probably not the defenses, either defense in this one. I just want to stay away from the high-scoring probability of this. And then the receivers on the bench here, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, MVS, we're going to leave those guys all on the bench here. Jerick McKinnon, I did see was questionable, and they've already ruled out Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which was a bit of a shock. He's got an illness, so he's not going to play. And then Jerick McKinnon didn't practice Wednesday with a groin, limited on Thursday here with that groin. So it might be a huge Isaiah Pacheco workload. So make sure you fire him up. And then I did want to note Richie James might be back from IR. Maybe not this game, but maybe the next game. On the Dolphins side, you're starting Tua. Raheem Mostert, I know he popped up on the injury report, but he says he's fine. And I think they're just being cautious with their lead back. And then, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, you're playing these two guys. And honestly, there's really nothing else I want to mess with here on the Dolphins side. I'm watching for Jeff Wilson Jr. to see if he continues to get more involved in the offense. You also have Devon Achane back in a couple weeks. But otherwise we'll leave these guys here on the bench. Exciting game, though. I'm looking forward to this Dolphins-Chiefs matchup. And I just want to look at fantasy points allowed real quick and see if anything sticks out here. Let me actually hit the quarterbacks here. Kansas City's been limiting the quarterbacks here, so it is a bit of a tougher matchup for Tua and this Dolphins passing offense. Whereas Miami, they rank 24th. They've been allowing 18 points here. So it's a good spot for basically the entire Chiefs passing offense. In terms of running back points allowed, the Chiefs do rank 9th, 17.56. So it's not a great spot for Raheem Mostert. I'm just kind of ranking him as a running back too. He's going to need to hit the end zone for you to find your big points here. And then the Dolphins do rank 13th. So both defenses a little bit better limiting the run. In terms of wide receivers, the Chiefs actually rank really strongly against opponent wide receivers, about 29.53 points per game. So I still like Tyreek Hill. It's a revenge game for Tyreek Hill, and I still like Jalen Waddle. But the Dolphins, they rank 23rd here, so 37.63 points per game to the wide receivers. We know the Chiefs have a plethora of wide receivers. I'm not sure where the ball's going to go, but I know Rashee Rice is a guy that I want in my lineup. And then for tight ends, the Dolphins don't have a tight end that we care about, but the Dolphins pretty bad against tight ends. So you're going to collect your 13, 14 points from Kelce, and I probably think he's going to, go upwards of 20 with the touchdown on this one. So fun game to start the day on Sunday. Not so fun of a game here. Sunday early games, Vikings at the Falcons. Falcons win by 5, 37.5 in this one. We're going to see Taylor Heinicke enter the starting lineup for the Falcons. Not sure how long Taylor Heinicke will remain a starter, but I think if he comes out and wins, he's going to continue to get starts. So Heinicke, Superflex QB2, you're playing Bijan, and then we're watching the health of Drake London. Big practice report coming for London today. I'm expecting him not to go. He was DNP and DNP with a groin injury the last 2 days here, so we'll watch for his reports here. If no London, I don't know if I'm going to call Kyle Pitts a must start, but he would be their leading wide receiver in this one. And I think if you have Kyle Pitts, you're going to want to play Kyle Pitts without Drake London. If London plays, he's a low-end wide receiver 3 flex play. I think Taylor Heinicke does lift the passing offense more than Desmond Ridder did, so I'm open to playing him if he does play. If no Drake London, though, maybe Van Jefferson's interesting. Maybe even Jonnu Smith if you need a tight end. But for the most part, I think I'm just going to stick with Bijan and Kyle Pitts. And if you guys have questions on the other guys, let me know. On the Vikings side, we're expecting rookie quarterback Jaren Hall to get the start. Not super excited about this. The Falcons defense is actually one of the better defenses in limiting fantasy points here. They rank, they're a top 8 defense here. And they do rank strongly against a few positions here. I think at running backs here, they're number 2 against, so I don't like Alexander Mattison. As far as quarterbacks go, the Falcons, are they rank 20th, so it's not a bad matchup for Jaren Hall. And then against wide receivers, the Falcons they're okay. So the Falcons above average defense. Not sure if I want to mess with this one. I think you're still starting TJ Hawkinson. Jordan Addison's the real question mark at wide receiver 3 flex. I don't blame you if you want to sit him and see what this looks like before we trust it. I do expect him to maybe lead the team in targets, though. But Hawkinson for sure, just because tight end's so bad. Maybe Addison, probably not Alexander Madison. Maybe the Falcons defense or the Vikings defense, but I'm going to probably just not mess with that and just go with the Falcons defense. Osborne, Akers, Powell, Jaren Hall, Dobbs. I'm expecting Josh Dobbs maybe get the start in week 10, but overall, not too fun of a game here to get us going. Another game that could be kind of ugly. Cleveland hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Browns picked to win by 8, 37.5 implied in this one. Not sure what's going on with with Deshaun Watson. He's been listed as limited the last 2 days with that shoulder injury. I'm assuming we're going to get some information on him today. I put PJ Walker in here as a QB2. I think he's a super flex guy if he does play. I think Deshaun Watson's also a super flex play if he does. Not interested in either of these guys for QB1 leagues. Jerome Ford has popped up on the injury report with a couple limited practices here. I think he's on track to play. I think you want to play him as your running back too. The Arizona Cardinals, the 30th ranked team here against running backs. So it's a really juicy spot for Jerome Ford. You might even want to play Kareem Hunt just as a low-end RB2 play. I think I'm fine with Amari Cooper as a wide receiver 3 flex. He's still a good player, and the Cardinals defense is not all that great. And then David Njoku, I know he popped up on the injury report as well. He was DNP on Wednesday, limited on Thursday. I think he's worth a low-end tight end spot if you need it. Start this Browns defense. It's probably the start of the week. Elijah Moore, not so excited about him. He's just a low PPR play. And then keep an eye on Pierre Strong. I do like him, and I should probably remove Donovan Peoples-Jones after the trade. On the Cardinals side, it sounds like we're getting Clayton Tune. So this offense is in for a rough day against the best defense in the league that I believe. Marquise Brown, if you need him, he's a low-end wide receiver 3. I might even move him down to flex. I'm not super excited about it. He could get there on volume, but keep in mind this is like the number 1 defense in pretty much every category here. I guess they rank 8th against QBs, about 14.73 points per game. They do rank 10th against running backs, I believe 3rd against wide receivers, and number 1 against tight end. So with them being number 1 against tight end, Trey McBride, he could be a nice tight end 1 streamer this weekend, but just be prepared. Again, the Browns are allowing about 5-point-something points per game to the tight end position. It's not a great spot for Trey McBride, but who knows? Maybe the rookie quarterback could lean on his tight end. And then the big one here was Amari DiMercato. He popped up. Let me look at some of these injury tags here. Thursday, he popped up with the DNP. Same with Michael Wilson. So we're watching the health of these guys today. If DiMercato can't go, maybe it's Damian Williams and Keontae Ingram day. I don't know. We're going to have to watch the health of these running backs here, especially for those practice reports on Friday. So I'm not in love with the Cardinals. I think you want to start your Browns, get that Browns defense in there, and probably don't want to watch too much of that game. Another ugly game here. Rams at Packers. Packers to win by 3, 40 implied in this one. I think the big question in this one is Matthew Stafford. He was DNP the last 2 days. I'm expecting Matthew Stafford to not play. I have him listed as doubtful here. So assume Brett Rippon is the starting quarterback for this one. What do you do with the Rams side? Well, the Packers, they just lost their best cornerback. They traded him to Buffalo. So I think they're going to be susceptible against the pass, even though it's Brett Rippon. So I think you're still starting Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Now, I do have Puka listed here as questionable, but the good news is he's been limited the last 2 days at practice here. You can see right here, limited. He's on track to play. If he missed a practice this week, I'd be more concerned about it, but I think they're just being cautious with one of their better players. I expect Puka to play, and he should be in your starting fantasy lineups as your wide receiver 2 or 3. Darrell Henderson is the lead back in this one. And the Packers, they rank 26th against the running back. So you have 25 points here. Even if you divide, if Royce and Darrell Henderson are splitting, you can maybe expect 12.5 points out of Darrell Henderson in this one. Even if he doesn't score a touchdown, I can see him hitting 10 or 12 points. So you want to play Darrell Henderson. You even maybe want to play Royce Freeman as a low-end RB2 flex play. Now the Packers defense, They do rank 11th against quarterbacks here, so about 15. That's going to be, 250 yards and a touchdown for Brett Rippon. That's I think in play. Packers have been decent against wide receivers this year. They do rank 10th, but again, with Rasul Douglas missing, I could be open to some big Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua plays. And then at tight end, the Packers they're about average on tight end, but I don't know if we're in love with Tyler Higbee and Brett Rippon. So for me, it's Henderson, RB2, Cooper Kupp, Nacua, maybe Royce Freeman, maybe even the Rams defense. Packers offense just has not been playing very well. And then we're going to leave Tutu, Higbee, and these guys here on the bench. If you need somebody in emergency QB2 for Superflex, I think Rippon could be fine. On the Packers side, Jordan Love, I'm not comfortable starting him as a QB1. If you need to, let me know. I can answer those questions for you, but he looks fine as a Superflex guy. Aaron Jones, I'm fine with Aaron Jones as a running back 2 this weekend. Packers haven't had anybody miss practice this week, so that's encouraging. You got Aaron Jones limited, Luke Musgrave limited. Packers look like they're okay in terms of health. So I still want to play Aaron Jones. I know he's not getting his full workload yet, but a home game, maybe he gets a little bit more involved in the offense in this one. And then the true flex questions are Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. I believe, we just saw last weekend the Rams got destroyed by CeeDee Lamb, but like they still rank 9th best against wide receivers. So it's not the ideal spot for Watson and Doubs. I think if I had to play one right now, Doubs has been the hot touchdown guy, but I could see both of these guys having a nice game at home in this one. So they're more low-end wide receiver 3 flexes. Let me know if you have questions on the Packers receivers. I'm open to starting the Packers defense just with Brett Rippon and not really being a threat to put up a lot of points. This game, again, it's pretty low scoring. It's about 40 over under. We're going to leave A.J. Dillon. Go pick up Jayden Reed, by the way, though. If you can stash Jayden Reed, I think you're going to want to maybe see what he does as the season goes on. And then I'm not going to play Luke Musgrave until we see something that makes us want to start him. Moving on to the Commanders and the Patriots. I'm excited about this game. We're going to see Sam Howell on the road at New England. New England picked to win by 3, over under 40. Let's just get the Patriots out of the way here. Mac Jones is just a super flex QB2. I think if you have Ramondre this weekend, you're starting him. I do want to look real quick at the Commanders and see where they're allowing fantasy points to running back. They're about average here. They rank about 14th, giving up almost 20 points per game to the running back. So, I mean, even if he gets half of that, that's still at least double digits. So I like Ramondre in this one. And then the guy is Demario Douglas. And if I look at the Patriots practice report, we know they don't have Kendrick Bourne, who was starting to emerge as their number 1 wide receiver. But Devontae Parker is questionable in this one with a concussion. Did not practice the last 2 days. I'm going to assume he's not going to play, leaving the rookie Demario Douglas as their top receiver. Even Juju Smith-Schuster, who I know is back, that's a good thing. But I think Demario Douglas has hopped. Honestly, Demario Douglas hopped all these guys over the last couple of weeks, and he was getting more snaps than these guys the last couple of games. So Juju, worth an add in deeper leagues. But I think if you need wide receiver help, go double check if Demario Douglas is available. Again, these Commanders rank 31st against opponent running wide receivers here. So almost 42 points per game to the wide receivers. Even if Demario gets 25% of this, that's double digits. So I think he's a guy that wants to be picked up for the rest of the season. Maybe the Patriots defense, and this is solely because the Commanders allow so many damn sacks, turnovers, maybe from Howell, something like that. It's in New England as well. So I'm open to the Patriots defense. And then all these other guys we're just going to leave here on the bench. You can still stash Ezekiel Elliott. The tight ends are kind of frustrating. Maybe the tight ends are more involved with Kendrick Bourne going down. And again, we're expecting Devontae Parker out. Monitor Juju Smith-Schuster. If you want to pick him up and Demario Douglas is gone, you can maybe look at Juju. Now, on the Commander side, I think Sam Howell are ranking as a quarterback 1 for the foreseeable future. He's been playing lights out. He's really only had one terrible game. He had one okay bad game of around 10 points. But Howell, for the most part, has been a top 10, top 12 QB in every game. And even though the Patriots defense it's okay. They rank, where are the Patriots? They rank 15th, about 16 points per game to the quarterback here. I would take 16 points from Sam Howell if I could, and he's been playing pretty good. He might even go over 16. I think if you need a running back, Brian Robinson Jr. is just your boom bust RB2. He needs the touchdown. Not super excited about it, but I do like that he's still involved as a receiver. You're starting Terry McLaurin, and then I think Logan Thomas is an interesting tight end option. The Patriots, let's see where they are against tight ends. They're one of the stingier teams against tight end. They allow about 9.53 points. But hey, if Logan Thomas gets all those 9.53 points, that's a decent floor. And then the guy that I'm excited to watch again for this week is Jahan Dotson. I don't expect Curtis Samuel to play. He's missed practice Wednesday and Thursday. Let me pull that up here. Yep, he's questionable with that toe injury. I'm expecting him to not play this weekend. So you're going to probably see Jamison Crowder pulled up. But Jahan Dotson, if no Curtis Samuel, that's a good sign for Dotson. So if you need an emergency wide receiver 3 flex, Jahan Dotson could be the guy. And hey, if he was dropped in your leagues, go pick him up. Probably not the Commanders defense. We just don't trust it. It's one of the poor defenses, and they just traded away their 2 best pass rushers. So we're not starting the Commanders defense the rest of the season. Curtis Samuel, doubtful. Jamison Crowder. You can maybe add Jamison Crowder. I don't know when Curtis Samuel's going to be back, but he's a short-term add to say the least. And then Gibson, you can maybe just continue to hold Gibson in PPR formats. Alrighty, the Bears at the Saints. Just a lot of ugly games this weekend. Saints at home, picked to win by 7, 41.5 in this one. Start your Saints, man. This Bears defense, we know it's not great in terms of fantasy points allowed. They rank 29th, and that's to all positions here. So they're generous to quarterbacks here. They rank 28th against QB, almost 19 points per game. So you're starting Derek Carr. I think in terms of running backs here, they rank 27th. So you're starting Kamara. We're not interested in Jamal Williams or Kendre Miller, but keep it, if you're in a deeper league, keep an eye on Kendre Miller. They gave him a few more touches last weekend, and who knows, as the season goes on, they might want to preserve Kamara and make sure he stays fresh for a playoff run. So keep an eye on Kendre Miller. For wide receiver points here, the Chicago Bears, a little bit better at this position. They rank 20th, but they're still allowing almost 36. So even if you divide that into 3, we know they have 3 receivers, Michael Thomas, Olave, and Rashid Shaheed. There's a good chance at 12 points for Michael Thomas, 12 points for Olave. And then Rashid Shaheed, man, he is a deep what the heck flex right now. Wide receiver 3 with that big touchdown play upside. He's been playing pretty good, and he should be picked up in all formats. And then for tight ends, the Bears rank 24th. You can start Taysom Hill. I know actually Taysom Hill, not sure what happened to Taysom, but he's been questionable with the hip injury. I don't know if they're just being cautious with him, but we'll monitor that. But you can start all these guys on the Saints. I think the real flex question is Rashid Shaheed. I don't want to risk you getting 2 for 20, kind of that thing, but he just know the risk with Rashid Shaheed. He could get you nothing. He could get you 20 points again. Michael Thomas is safe in PPR leagues. And then, I want to continue to start Chris Olave. Go ahead and start that Saints defense. They're probably my second favorite start of the week after the Browns. And then we're going to leave these guys on the bench. I still want to see what Juwan Johnson does as he's getting healthier. And then, keep an eye on stashing Kendre Miller. On the Bears side, I'm not sure. Did they rule out Justin Fields already? I'm not sure. But we're looking at Tyson Bagent starting again. He's an emergency QB2 for Superflex. I'm really not excited about it. But he did show a little bit of progress last weekend. So we'll see. You can still start DJ Moore. Just limit your expectations. Cole Kmet's a really boom bust tight end 1. He did have the 10 catches last weekend, so maybe that rolls over into this one. My only issue is the Saints. Pretty good against tight end here. They're allowing about 9 points per game. So maybe if you're okay with taking the 9 there, go for it. And then I don't know what's going on with the running backs here. Roschon, Deonta, now Darrington Evans is in the mix getting touchdowns, which is very frustrating. New Orleans is one of the better teams against running backs here, only 16 points per game to the running back position. So honestly, these are not great starts. I think Roschon might be the play in a PPR format. You're banking on Deonta Foreman to get volume, and basically for Foreman to hit, the Bears need to be winning and leading the game and controlling that game. So not a great spot for Foreman. I don't feel great starting any Bears running back, but if I had to play one, it would be Roschon. Say no to the defenses here, no to Darnell Mooney. Hopefully we get Justin Fields back next week for you guys. This is one of the better noon games of the day. Seattle at Baltimore, -5.5, 43 implied in this one. It's pretty simple. I think you're starting Lamar Jackson, you're starting Gus Edwards, you're starting Zay Flowers, you're starting Mark Andrews. And then that Baltimore Ravens defense is startable. They're 5.5-point favorites at home. I like that. Odell Beckham, no thank you. Rashad Bateman, no thank you. no Justice Hill, no Nelson Aguilar. Stick with the studs in this one. I was very encouraged to see Gus Edwards kind of just take control of the touches last weekend. I think that rolls over, and we continue to see Gus as a kind of a touchdown dependent running back too. But hey, if he's going to get 15 plus touches every week, I like that. On the Seahawks side, it's a big practice report day for the Seahawks. We know Kenneth Walker's a little bit dinged up. They did give Chuba Hubbard, or not Chuba, they gave Zach Charbonnet a lot of touches last weekend. But we're watching the health of a few guys here. DK Metcalf, I think the Seahawks staff is very conservative. We got a full practice from DK on Wednesday, a day off on Thursday. I'm expecting him to be at practice today. If he's not at practice today, I'll put a red flag up and have some question marks on it. But I think for me, it makes sense to be a day of practice, a day off, a day of practice, a day off, and then game on Sunday. So I think DK's fine. Lockett didn't practice on Wednesday, limited today. Huge question mark here. He had a great game last weekend. He played through that hamstring injury, so I'm expecting him to be fine. But again, let's watch those practice reports today. And then Kenny McIntosh coming back would be nice. The thing that I like here is you don't see Kenneth Walker on the injury report here. So wheels up for Kenneth Walker. Start him, even though it's a tough matchup. You're starting DK Metcalf. You're starting Tyler Lockett. And if you like, so JSN, like, yeah, he should be owned in all formats. I don't know if he's a great play this weekend. He's kind of along the lines of those Demario Douglas, Jahan Dotson plays, like a deep wide receiver 3 flex. So let me know if you have questions there. Geno Smith, just a QB2 for super flex leagues. I'm not starting him in 1 QB leagues. And then maybe the Seahawks defense, but probably not. Continue to monitor Zach Charbonnet. He should be picked up in all formats as the handcuff to Kenneth Walker. And then Jake Bobo, man, pick him up in dynasty leagues or deeper leagues. Fun game, though, here. I think this could be one of the better games of the early slate here. In terms of fantasy points allowed, I think these defenses are both decent. So Seattle ranks 20th overall, and you have the Ravens ranking 3rd overall. So it's a tougher matchup on paper for the Seattle offense. But again, I think this could be a nice, fun way to start the day. Baltimore at the Texans, or Buccaneers at the Texans, -2.5 for Houston, which is strange. 40 implied in this one. CJ Stroud's just a QB2 for Superflex leagues. I don't know if I love him as a QB1. I can take questions on that. But again, I think he's more of like QB 10 to 15 range. I think he's right on the cusp. If you need to start him, I'm fine with it. Let's actually look and see what those Buccaneers are allowing in points per game. Tampa Bay does allow a good amount of fantasy points here. So if you need to be pushed into starting CJ Stroud, I think I might move him up here to my QB1 spot. So I like the matchup. We're watching the health of Devin Singletary. Not Devin Singletary, Dameon Pierce. He popped up on the injury report with an ankle injury. He didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. Huge practice report coming later today for DP. If he's out, like, you got to start Devin Singletary. And honestly, even with this ankle injury right now, even if he plays this weekend, I think Devin Singletary is the guy you'd rather play. So make sure you pick him up across all formats. Nico Collins, you're playing Nico Collins. Dalton Schultz is a tight end 1 streaming option, and then Tank Dell, just a wide receiver 3 flex. He's kind of along those JSN, Jahan Dotson range of wide receiver 3 flexes. Maybe the Texans defense, Noah Brown, because I don't think Robert Woods is playing. Noah Brown's going to be wide receiver 3 in this one. But hey, I do like the Texans offense in this one. For Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield's a super flex quarterback 2. You're starting Rachaad White. He's been fantastic in PPR formats, not so much in regular standard formats. But Mike Evans and Chris Godwin continue to play these guys. You do want to play them, but I want to note the Texans, they rank 4th against opponent wide receivers. So it is a bit of a tough matchup for these guys. I think I like Chris Godwin more than I like Mike Evans. I might even switch those guys in my column. So just be prepared for that. The Texans defense limiting wide receiver points, but they're allowing quarterbacks to hit their average of about 16 points. So maybe Baker Mayfield is okay in this one. The Bucs defense is startable. Cade Otton, Chase Edmonds, Trey Palmer, leave these guys here on the bench. Moving on to the late games here. Colts at Carolina. Colts by 2.5, 44 implied in this one. I think this one's got a pretty fun potential here. On the Panthers side, Bryce Young's the quarterback 2 for Superflex leagues. You could also start him if you needed one in an emergency QB1 league. You know, he's going to get you 14 points. Chuba Hubbard is the guy I want to start at running back. He kind of took over the backfield last weekend. We're going to watch for that again this week and see if he continues to be the guy. Or maybe they were just being cautious with Sanders and getting him back into the game. So we'll watch that dynamic there. You're playing Adam Thielen. And then we're going to add Jonathan Mingo. One, he should be picked up in PPR formats, especially 12-team leagues, maybe not so much 10-team leagues, but in 12-team, yes. He was the number 2 wide receiver last week. And I was watching the health of DJ Chark. Let me pull this up. DJ Chark did not practice yesterday, he didn't practice Wednesday, limited yesterday. Either way, I think Mingo is a wide receiver 3 potential flex guy for the rest of the season. 4 for 62 last weekend. I want to see that momentum continue over for Mingo. Say no to the Panthers defense, although they've been playing pretty well. And then DJ Chark, Sanders, we're going to leave all these guys here on the bench. So it's unfortunate Sanders not looking so hot. On the Colts side, I think Minshew's a quarterback 2 for Superflex leagues. The Panthers played pretty well against the Texans last weekend. They limited CJ Stroud. He couldn't even throw a touchdown. He had to run the touchdown in. But Minshew, just a QB2 for Superflex leagues. You're starting Jonathan Taylor, who I don't think he was on the injury report. And last weekend, they did look like he got a little bit dinged up. But he's not on the injury report, which is good news. So start JT. You can start Pittman as your wide receiver 2-3. And Josh Downs, I know he popped up on the injury report, but I think he's fine. He's going to be a wide receiver 3 flex in PPR formats. And then, honestly, start Zach Moss too. Zach Moss continues to be involved in this offense. The weak spot of this Carolina defense is their running back points here. They allow 32 running back points per game. That ranks 31st in the league. Otherwise, this Panthers defense limits QBs, receivers, and tight ends. So I think I'm looking at the JT Zach Moss side of this game as the engine for the Colts offense. Interesting game, though. We'll see if the Panthers can stack their second win of the year. Ugly game here. Giants Raiders -2.5 for the Raiders, 38.5 total implied. In this one, you're starting Jacobs, Devontae, and maybe Jacoby Myers. Maybe the Raiders defense not playing Mayer, Renfro. Jimmy Garoppolo's not the starter. Aiden O'Connell is. I just don't really want to mess with this. Otherwise, like Jacobs and Adams, yes, maybe Jacoby Myers. Let me know if you guys have questions on the Raiders side. The Giants are getting Daniel Jones back. He's a quarterback 2 option for Superflex leagues, and then you're starting Saquon Barkley after that. With Darren Waller ruled out, maybe Wan'Dale Robinson's more involved in getting targets in this one. Maybe Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt get more involved as well. So I'm not comfortable enough to say to start any of these guys here, but just watch for that. Who's the leading target with Darren Waller out? And then Daniel Bellinger is going to step in for the starting tight end 1 role. But honestly, not comfortable starting anybody in this on the Giants side other than Saquon Barkley and then Daniel Jones in Superflex League. So ugly game here. We'll see. I'm excited to see Aiden O'Connell, though. I want to see what he can do and if he can give them any hope or spark. And then this is my game of the week, I think. Cowboys-Eagles. You also have the nightcap here that we'll get to in a second. But Cowboys at Eagles, -3 for Philly, 46 implied in this one. Start everybody. Like Hurts, yes. You're starting Swift, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert. There's no questions with the Eagles offense. They funnel through these guys. So I love that. Very clear and transparent. Not sure if it's going to be a Devonta game or a Dallas Goedert game. It's always an A.J. Brown game, and DeAndre Swift starting to lose a little bit of touches, but I still think Swift is startable as a running back too. You're maybe playing the defenses in this one. Let me know if you have questions on that. I think this game is going to be high scoring, so I'm not in love with the defenses. And then Julio Jones, you can stash him in deeper leagues and continue to stash Kenneth Gainwell in deeper leagues. On the Cowboys side, it looks like they're starting to lean into the passing game, which has opened things up the last couple of weeks. So Dak Prescott, QB1. Tony Pollard, I pulled him down to a QB2 or to a running back 2. The Eagles, number 1 against running back, allowing 15 points per game. So if they're going to give a few touches to Rico Dowdle as they have been, this is looking like a 10 to 12 point game for Tony Pollard to me. He's going to need to score a touchdown to hit that 18 to 20 point range, but tough matchup for Tony P. CeeDee Lamb, you're starting CeeDee Lamb. He's a gem. And then Jake Ferguson. I actually like Jake Ferguson in this one. He's the clear tight end 1. He continues to lead the team in, I believe, red zone targets and end zone targets. The Eagles rank average against tight end, 11.71 points. I would take that from Jake Ferguson if that's what the line's going to be. So play Ferguson. If you need a flex receiver, Brandon Cooks, he's along those lines of Jahan Dotson, JSN, Jonathan Mingo, all those fringe wide receiver 3 flexes. Again, maybe the defenses, but probably not the defenses. Michael Gallup, Rico Dowdle, Jalen Tolbert, leave these guys on the bench. I am stashing Rico Dowdle, by the way, in some of my most important leagues, just in case anything happens to Tony Pollard or if they continue to give Rico Dowdle more touches. But fun game. I think that one, I'm excited to watch that game. And then it leads into a great game, Sunday Night Football, Bills at the Bengals, baby. -2.5 for Cincinnati, 49 implied in this one. This one's so fun for fantasy football. You're starting pretty much everybody. Joe Burrow, yes. Joe Mixon finally popped off last weekend. I don't know if he's back, but he had a great game against a good defense. So I think he's, running back 2 in this one. Obviously, you're starting Jamar Chase. T. Higgins, I still get questions on T. Higgins often. He's a wide receiver 3 flex this week. And then I do think Tyler Boyd, just with Joe Burrow and the offense looking more healthy, Tyler Boyd is a nice wide receiver 3 flex option. Probably not either defense in this one. And then we're going to leave these guys here on the bench. On the Bills side, obviously you're starting Josh Allen. James Cook continues to be a nice running back too. Stephon Diggs, yes. I think Gabe Davis at this point, you just got to play him. He had a nice, amazing game last weekend, over double-digit targets. Take the good with the bad. He's been more good than bad this year. He's got the upside to get you, 20, 25 fantasy points, even though the floor is about 4. So continue starting Gabe Davis. Start Dalton Kincaid. And the squeaky wheel here on this is the Bengals are the worst team against tight ends, allowing 15.71 points. So 6 for 16, a touchdown for Kincaid sounds good to me. And then I want to monitor Khalil Shakir. He was their leading receiver last weekend in yards, and he had a pretty nice day. So keep an eye on Shakir. Probably not the Buffalo Bills defense. You can stash Leonard Fournette, by the way. We can get rid of Latavius Murray. I don't know if Fournette's going to play in this one, but I want to see what Fournette does over November. And if he can overtake Murray, and then maybe if he can eat into the James Cook workload. But awesome Sunday Night Football game. Excited for this one. And then we'll finish up with this not so exciting Monday Night Football, but maybe the New York Jets just play different at home in prime time here. It's kind of exciting. And the Chargers are good TV as well. So Chargers -3, 41.5 in this one. You're starting Herbert, Eckler, and Keenan Allen. We're watching the health of Josh Palmer, though. I think my senses and my feelings are saying Josh Palmer is not going to play in this one. He didn't practice yesterday. We'll watch for that report today and Saturday. So monitor that. I think with Palmer questionable, Gerald Everett's off the injury report. He's a tight end option for you guys. We do know that the Jets are pretty leaky against tight ends. They rank 26th here, about almost 14 points per game. So I don't mind Everett as a streaming option. And then keep an eye on Quentin Johnston, who should be picked up in all 12-team leagues. They finally used him last weekend. I think he had 5 for 50 or something like that. So I like what I saw last weekend. Hopefully that carries over and we see some momentum build for Quentin Johnston. Probably not the Chargers defense. Josh Kelly, Donald Parham, no thank you. On the Jets side, Zach Wilson looking okay. Like he's improving, which is nice. So he's a super flex option. We just know that this Chargers defense, it's allowing the most fantasy points per game in the league. They're dead last here against quarterbacks, almost 23 points per game here. So I don't hate Zach Wilson if you need a streaming quarterback one. In terms of running backs here, the Chargers rank 25th here. So you love the Breece Hall matchup. The Chargers are also 30th against wide receivers. So Garrett Wilson, Zach Wilson, it's a great matchup for Garrett Wilson. And then even the tight ends, man. Maybe Tyler Conklin, finds the end zone. So I'm interested in these guys. Maybe the Jets defense. We know Justin Herbert turns the ball over sometimes in bunches, and it's in New York. I think this game is interesting, and it's a pretty low under for a Charger game. And then Allen Lazard just on the bench here. But I'm excited about this. Again, the Jets just play differently on prime time at home. So we'll see what happens here. But that's it, guys. That is the Week 9 preview. If you guys have questions, please let me know in the comments. You can always join the Discord and get your question asked there, or hit me up on Twitter or on the YouTube channel here. Either way, enjoy. I'm out of town this weekend, so I wasn't able to do my Thursday night live stream. We're gonna probably upload a prop show tomorrow. We're not gonna do it live. We're just gonna record it and upload it. So if you guys want to check out the prop video tomorrow morning, that'll be uploaded sometime around noon. And then Sunday morning, I'm still gonna try and do my live show, my 10:30 a.m. Central Time show. If you guys want to hang out with me before the games kick off. So either way, enjoy the weekend, guys. Thank you for watching, and take it easy. Peace.